All right, good evening, and here we are with a little bit of a fusion recipe. So, way back in the day when I was little, we lived in Seattle, and you know how sometimes on the back of lasagna boxes they'll have recipes, how to make lasagna and whatnot? Well, the recipe box that my parents had Mexican lasagna on there, and we loved it. And they'd spice it up and do different things to make it taste, just that much better. And so when my parents went vegan, I thought to myself, I can do a Mexican lasagna. It shouldn't be hard at all. And yeah, it wasn't. And I have loved it ever since. So here's my version of Lasagna Mexicana, or Mexican lasagna as we always called it. It's very, very simple. There are a lot of steps to it, but you make lasagna, there are steps, right? And the fun thing is that if you have a meat eater in your life, you can just make up some taco meat and put that in instead, and do the actual cheese and ricotta or cottage cheese if you want. This obviously, for me, is not going to have any cheese, no dairy, no meats, because it's all plant-based. So the first thing we do is we're going to get some vegetables sauteing up. So got onion. Grab this, get the onion in our pan. I don't want to really cook these down. I want to give them a chance to get some of the water out, because the mushrooms are definitely going to release water, and I want to give them a chance to just get soft a little bit, because once it goes into the lasagna, into the oven, it'll continue to cook. So start with the onion, just like we've done in other videos. I'm going to do this without oil. In fact, we can just go ahead and throw other stuff in. So 2 poblano peppers, and then 1 ounce of mushroom. I just sliced them all up. This is portobello mushroom. And for this recipe, I'll be honest, I probably have too much stuff. That's what's happened every time, is I end up with extras. But I'll tell you what you can do with them in a little bit when you do have extra. We'll take a look and see what we've got. This is a jalapeno. I took out the seeds. If you don't like hot stuff, don't have as much jalapeno. And then these are small red and orange pepper. Give it some color, a little bit of flavor, a little bit of sweetness. We're going to go ahead and get that on. I've got my pan on medium, and I'm going to take the lid off of the hot water. Just put it on top of the pan, let that heat start rising up and get in there, and get those vegetables cooking. And then I'm also going to be putting in some garlic once it starts to get hot. I don't want to burn the garlic, so we're going to wait for a little bit. And once it releases some water out of the mushrooms, we'll put in some taco seasoning, as the Lasagna Mexicana, right? Next part, we're going to make tofu ricotta. This is not that hard to do, and I'm glad we're doing it right now, because it's going to give time to sit and just kind of meld all together while we're getting everything else cooked. So just take a brick of tofu. You can add in about a teaspoon of onion, teaspoon of garlic. We've got about a teaspoon of salt, and a tablespoon, probably a tablespoon and a half of nutritional yeast, and 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. Pour that all together. We're just going to take our fork and break it up. We don't want it to turn into a sauce, so we're not going to use an immersion blender on it, but we want to make it kind of grainy, just like real ricotta. And all you have to do, kind of just bust through it with your fork. Get it all nice and chopped. The lemon will soak into the tofu. I did press the tofu a little bit just to get some of the liquid out, because I really want it to pick up the garlic and onion and salt and nutritional yeast. So it gets in there. It gives us a nice little bit of a ricotta flavor to it. A little cheesy flavor to be able to put into our lasagna Mexicana. All right. So that's essentially it. Doesn't take long. It makes it nice and crumbly. And you can make it as fine as you want to. It's because this will go into both of the bottom layers. We're going to do 3 layers of noodles. And I've got water on, getting ready to be able to actually boil up the lasagna noodles. I know that you can do lasagna by putting in the noodles uncooked. I've always cooked them all my life, so I don't know if this is, every time I've made this, it's not been enough liquid that it would actually cook the lasagna noodles, and I'm fine with it. It works out really well. So, all right, we have our ricotta done, and then one more step. We're going to make a bean tomato that replaces the tomato sauce and lasagna. Okay, so I did some fire roasted diced tomatoes, 15-ounce can. I've got 2 cans of the La Preferida refried beans. I like this stuff because other fat-free refried beans have been dry. This stuff is not dry. But you take your diced tomatoes, throw them in there. That liquid helps being able to stir everything together. I also did a can of Rotel. This is mild. You can get medium or the hot. Just depends on what your palate is. I like stuff hot, but since I already have jalapenos in the vegetables, I didn't want to overwhelm my palate. I like hot, but I don't like to be overwhelmed with hot. So, throw that all together. I already use that for the vegetables. And we just mix it up. So it'll be a layer of noodles, a layer of the tomato refried beans, a layer of the vegetables, a layer of the ricotta, the tofu ricotta, and we'll be making a cheese sauce. I've done the cheese sauce before when I cooked with my dad for the Philly cheesesteaks, the vegan Philly cheesesteaks. That's the same cheese sauce that we're going to be making. I'm not going to cook it as much as we did for the Philly cheesesteak. I just am going to cook it enough to get that tapioca going. We'll get there in a couple of minutes. In the meantime, all right, all that lovely juice, and seriously, that's way too much, but I love refried beans, and I'm going to eat it, whether it's in the lasagna or not. But in the meantime, putting the tomatoes in, the Rotel, and the fire roasted gives it enough juice to really let it be spreadable on top of the noodles. It works really, really, really well that way. Okay, I'll put this to the side. Don't want to leave the vegetables alone too terribly long. I'm going to take a look here. Give everything a toss. And it's going to take a little while because I did a lot of vegetables. You could actually, if you wanted to, we'll see at the end, probably get 2 lasagnas out of this. Because the other fun thing that I've had some friends do, well, not friends of me, friends of my parents, is instead of using noodles for their Mexican lasagna, they used corn tortillas and lined the pan with the corn tortillas and then put everything in there. I really, really want to try it that way one day, and it might be that tonight, because of the amount that I'm making, we'll get 2 lasagnas, one with noodles, one with the corn tortillas. So, got a little time to take that we let the vegetables cook up a little bit. We've got our beans and tomatoes done and mixed together, ready to go for a layer. We've got our tofu ricotta done. I'm going to reset and we will work on the cheese sauce. So, I'll see you in a couple minutes. Okay, so finally got the vegetables going. I had problems with the stove, miscommunications. We got it worked out. I don't even know if I could explain it right now. But the vegetables are starting to release their water, which is fantastic. That's what we're looking for. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and throw in the garlic and about a quarter cup, maybe closer to a half of the taco seasoning. Let that all mix together. With this taco seasoning, they want you to have some liquid in there so that it helps get mixed into your dish. So there we go with that. Then we'll taste it and see if we need to add any salt. Because once, you can salt once you have it all cooked and maybe you think you need some more salt. If you want to put it in earlier, that's up to you. I like to have it on the saltier side, which is not necessarily the best, I know. I also have the noodles almost done. Sorry my back is turned to you. I'm not obviously moving the camera around very much. Yep. Looks like we got the noodles done. Okay. Take that off the water. Take that off the burner. And I'll get them out of the water in a moment. First, this is for the melty vegan cheese. So, took some beans, cannellini beans, 2 cans of them, blended it all up, about a half a cup of tapioca, and then for some seasoning for the cheese, a little bit of celery salt, so about half a teaspoon, about a teaspoon worth of onion, and then about a teaspoon worth of garlic. Now normally you're supposed to cook this on the stove so that the tapioca can form into more of a cheese substance. I'm not doing it this time because it is going to go into the oven. So what I wanted to do is, in my brain, hopefully, this is the first time I've tried this cheese in this recipe, get it to a spot where it'll cook in the oven, thicken up a little bit. Right now it's going to be really, really easy to put into the layers, and a light layer on top. And as we cook the, I forgot the milk. Milk's gonna help too. 2 cups of milk, plant-based milk. As we cook it, we'll cover it first with some tin foil, some aluminum foil, not tin, and then we'll take it off and let it cook for the last 15 with the aluminum foil off so that it can hopefully brown up a little bit. Okay, so that's actually pretty runny right now. I don't know, we'll see. Maybe we put it on the oven just to let it thicken up a little bit, and maybe as it just sits here, the tapioca starts working its magic, it will do what we want it to do. Okay, so we'll move this over so that I can get our noodles off. Don't need those to overcook. And we'll turn down the vegetables. Give them a good mix again. Good, the water is starting to cook off. And I really do believe that we are going to get 2 lasagnas out of all of this, which would be fantastic. So we can try one with noodles and one with the corn tortillas. The corn tortillas in those packages are fantastic because they are fat-free. So, I've also made corn tortillas before too, and that is a lot of fun. And what I think I'm going to do is take these noodles out of the bowl, or out of the pan, so that they cool down a little bit. They'll be easier to handle that way. Okay. right. Beautiful. So, we have our cheese sauce. Move this back over. All right, I had to reset a little bit. So I am going to cook the cheese sauce a little bit. Like I said, I don't want to try to cook it too hard. It does take some stirring as it goes, and it is starting to thicken up. I just want to make sure that it doesn't slobber all over the place when I put it into the lasagna itself. So while we're waiting for that, and we'll keep an eye on it and come back and stir so I don't mess everything up. So that the noodles don't stick to the bottom of the pan, just take some of your bean sauce, light layer, just kind of get it all the way down in there so that the noodles sit on top of the bean sauce and don't stick to your pan. It's just the easiest way to do it. Do that with regular lasagna too. A little bit of the marinara down first. All right, so the first layer, while we're waiting for the cheese sauce, and it's hot noodles. 3 can go along the bottom. And then, got my spoon. I can actually do beans next. This is why I want the beans to be a little bit runny, so that you can put them in, scoosh them around. They don't just kind of clump together. I want it to be able to fill the bottom of the noodles. Yeah, and the funny thing with this recipe, and you guys will have to let me know, is I've never heard of anybody else make a Mexican lasagna. So I made it for my parents when they first got on to the caring study with the vegan diet, and then they showed a picture of it, and we put the recipe together for them, for other people to be able to try it. And that was a lot of fun. And apparently some people took it to a potluck. This is just one of those things that as you're making it, like everything else I do, you just taste it as you go. You put in the seasonings that you want. So here's the vegetable meat part of it. Just gonna kind of spread it around in there. You can make it as thick or as you want to, and just have fun. Do it to taste. You don't have to follow my directions exactly, because my tastes are different than yours. All right. Then we have our beautiful ricotta cheese. With the ricotta cheese, I actually did end up putting a little bit of vinegar in there, just to, I don't know, kind of give it a kick. It was just needing a little bit of an extra flavor to it. Just adds some of that to some of the kind of funk that a cheese has. I want to make sure I can taste it. And you can put it in as thick as you'd like. All right. Let's see how we're doing with cheese. Yep, that's looking better. That's looking better. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn this down a little bit. Since it's just the first layer, I'm going to take what we've already got and go ahead and pour it all around a little bit. Get some of that cheesy goodness in there. That nutritional yeast gives it the kick that you're looking for. Okay, so that's the first layer. Second layer, hot noodles again. Actually, they've cooled down a little bit, so that's nice too. All right. And I've told a couple of friends about it, and they have actually, with meat in there, because that's the way we made it when I was growing up, made it for their families and loved it. So that's been fun. I I want to make Mexican lasagna a thing. What can I say? All right, we've got our beans next. Big old dollop of it so we can get it kind of spread around in there. And we'll see how the vegetables go, but we should have enough for at least half a lasagna with corn tortillas instead of noodles. And then we'll be able to taste them both because I've never had it that way before. I'm very excited about that. Okay, got our vegetables. The next layer that we're going to put on is just going to be noodles with some of the cheese sauce on top. And that will get covered and put into the oven. All right. Okay. And we've got our ricotta cheese. Don't be afraid to get your fingers dirty. That's the way I cook. You know what? Yeah, we're probably going to have to do just a half because I'm getting down to the bottom, which is wonderful because these are going to be my lunches. We're going to freeze some of it. It's going to be gorgeous. All right. Some more of the cheese. That's doing pretty good. Okay. Give it another stir. One more layer of noodles. Okay. I do miss cooking with oil when it comes to lasagna noodles because then you can put a little bit of oil in there and they don't stick as much and burn your fingers. Okay. So there we go for that. And got my oven all off. Good. I got the oven on, but the burners are all off. And then a nice layer of the melty vegan cheese on top. And what I'm going to do, since we're sitting here, got all our ingredients out, I'm going to go ahead, just move this over and get out one more pan. Okay. Excited about this. So, we've got our corn tortillas. Not going to bake them or anything because they're already at the consistency we need. I mean, it's going to get baked. It's just I'm not going to do anything to prepare them special. Just going to layer them in there. Got the one. Actually, we'll put some beans down just like we did the first time. As I just throw things on my counter. Like I said, I promise you'll never get perfect here. Oh, goodness. Okay. So, for this little pan, I'm going to do 2, and then I'm going to break one in half and just line the sides so that it's all covered. Then we can put our beans on top. I love the smell of corn tortillas. I love Mexican food. What can I say? I'll just eat beans and rice. Oh, so good. Got a spoonful of veggies. You get in there. And that should be enough for the next layer. Nice. Got our ricotta. And by George, I think we're going to come up with 1.5 lasagnas out of this. This is fantastic. A little bit of cheese. In fact, you probably could have used a little bit of cheese sauce, I guess, on the bottom too instead of the beans, but it works. We got it. Not noodles. There you go. I got my 3. Okay. Another layer of the corn tortillas. Cut the 1.5. And this will be the last layer before the top goes on. Okay. That. And who knows, maybe next time I put more taco seasoning in. I don't know. Changes up a little bit every time. Life is like a box of chocolates, right? Okay. All the rest of the veggies can go in. Oh yeah. I wish you could smell this right now. It smells so good. So good. Okay. Then, last layer of ricotta. Might as well just go through all the rest in. Okay. Move it all around to get it all covered. Got our cheese. Could have moved the pan the other way. Okay. And then one more layer of our corn tortillas. And you can make the layers thicker if you want, thinner. It's all up to you. Like I said, this is the first time I ever tried it with the corn tortillas. So, got our cheese on top. Now, I'm going to get these in the oven. And like I said, I'm going to cover them in aluminum foil. And then about 15 minutes till they're done, I'll take the aluminum foil off so that it can get some browning on top. And then we'll taste test. So I'll see you in a little bit.
What temperature?
Okay, I got them out of the oven. And I just wanted to show you. It took, it was at 350, about an hour. And that is the lasagna with noodles, Mexican lasagna with noodles. The Mexican lasagna with the corn tortillas, the little guy right there. So now we get to cut into them, see what they look like. So we'll go ahead and just do, oh, that cuts very nice, goes right through on the corn tortilla. Okay. Like I said, this one, I've never tried it this way before, so it's going to be fun to see how it does. Slide off. A little bit goopy, but aren't all lasagnas a little bit goopy? Okay. Then, you get to take a corner from the noodle Mexican lasagna. That does have a nice crust, seems to, on the outside, on the top, I should say. All right. Get that out. So, got both of them on there. Take a look, see that? Okay, so on this side, the noodle, I can't tell them apart anymore. We got the noodle Mexican lasagna here. We have the corn tortilla there. and I think they're looking pretty good. They smell pretty great. Let's take a taste. So with the noodle one that I've done before. Okay. Oh, it's still hot and steamy. Mmm. Mmm. I really like that. I don't think I put in quite enough taco seasoning. So, if you've run into that problem where you're like, ooh, I could have seasoned a little bit more, you can always put salsa on top. You can get the Ortega taco seasoning, put that on top, which is probably what I'm going to do. The other thing is that I think I could have put more veggies in there. One of the ways I've made it before is Gardein has a plant-based hamburger. You can get the Gardein plant-based hamburger and put your vegetables in it still, season it up taco style, and you can put taco seasoning or, maybe some cumin in the actual beans themselves. So there's so many different ways that you can just enhance and pop that flavor to what you're going to really, really like and enjoy. Now the one that I've really been waiting for is the one with the corn tortillas in it. It's still so hot. Oh, the corn tortillas just really enhance the taco flavor. In fact, you could almost go ahead, do the same thing, and turn it into enchiladas. Get some enchilada sauce. So there's so many ways that you can do this. It just makes it really, really nice. You want to put corn in there. Corn would be delicious to have that pop of sweetness with it. If you've got people that you love in your life, they eat meat, make it with the either ricotta or cottage cheese, mozzarella, taco meat. It's just so much fun. So many different ways you can make it, so many different ways you can flavor it. Lasagna doesn't have to be just Italian lasagna. Although, they did it right the first time. I think everybody agrees with that. But this is just a little bit of an adventure. Yes, it takes a little bit of time to do, but in my opinion, it's totally worth it. So, for Veggie's sake, eat for your health, and if you like what you're seeing, like, subscribe, make a comment down below. Talk to you later.